first thought was relief that we had a diagnosis. He had been a year after having two significant cerebral accidents, they called them. And nobody knew what was going on with him. So it was a relief to have a diagnosis, something we could work with. But then, the next immediate thought is, or feeling really was incredible sadness that, that he was so healthy and so full of life, and then to be diagnosed with this, it was just sad. It was just really sad. The kids were incredibly concerned with their father's diagnosis. They had lived for a year with, him. He was incredibly healthy. Then he had back-to-back strokes, and what was going on with him. So they were concerned. They were used to having a dad who was, healthy and full of life, and, just go. And all of a sudden he wasn't. So they wanted to know what they could do to help him. In the beginning, when we didn't know, when he woke up one morning and it was pretty obvious he had had a stroke, he spent a couple of weeks in the hospital and then a couple of weeks at inpatient rehab. And then, he seemed to bounce back pretty quick. He did have another stroke, which took out his speech, but he bounced back pretty okay from those. As the disease progressed, Tom was pretty good. He had his first two strokes in 2015, and then for a year and a half, everything was quiet. And then he started having strokes like every 3 or 4 months. And sometimes he'd have to go into the hospital. Sometimes he could ride them out at home with just going in to see the doctor. So I quit work in 2016 by the end to become his full-time caregiver and to continue to advocate for him with the doctors, start working with, the doctors and his therapists. It just became kind of a never-ending rotation of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, whatever he needed. So that's, didn't happen all at once, but, the kids and I were constantly shifting gears and readjusting to what did Tom, need next? How were we best going to care for him as this, the disease evolved for him. In the beginning, we just kind of started educating ourselves. We had no idea. Tom was adopted, so we had no idea what this disease was. So at first it was educating ourselves, joining the social media support groups, which have been incredibly helpful to us. Tom joined NIH CADASIL Discovery Protocol study in 2017, which was great, and he was able to do that through 2019. So that was, helpful for him and also helpful for us to learn. NIH were just incredibly helpful to us. Just being able to learn about how to best care for him and what may come up in the future. And then in 2021, we did the UPenn $1 million bike ride. I knew I was going to get that wrong. The $1 million bike ride for orphan disease. And we, as a family, decided we would pledge to walk 100 miles over a couple of months. And that helped, we did it as a family, so that was great. And we were able to get Tom out of the house and go on these walks. He was wheelchair bound by then. So it was just, it was great. And so in 2022, at the beginning of the year, he had a pretty significant stroke, and hospice was called in shortly thereafter. So it was kind of just really focusing on, his needs and what can we do for him as a family. And then when he passed away in July of 2022, We met with, or we got in touch with Dr. Finney Elahi. We had heard some really great things that she had been doing in research for CADASIL. So we, to do in memory of Tom, if people wanted to give a donation to her research, we started working with her and raising funds for CADASIL. And, since then I've joined the community advisory group through Cure CADASIL. And we're also working with Dr. Elahi and with the Chan Zuckerberg patient initiative. So we're trying to raise awareness. I also joined the board of Think CADASIL, and we're again trying to raise awareness and how best to do that. And the kids are opening an online shop where they're going to be selling their artwork and donating money to CADASIL research. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Everything doesn't have to be figured out this week, this month, this year. Try to work with the doctors, be part of a team. You're your loved one's best advocate, and you know your loved one better than anyone. So just really try, learn as much as you can, take a break when you need to. There's so many wonderful things going on. Join the CADASIL support groups. People on those support groups are unbelievable with their encouragement, their hope. Even if you just need to vent for a little bit, you can do that safely. Nobody judges. So it's really a wonderful community. So but learn as much as you can. And, don't be afraid to ask your team, your loved one's team questions. If you have a medication that you think is not working, bring it up. If you want to try a medication, bring that up too. You got to work together to help your loved one be successful and, get through this. There's some really great research from around the world happening, especially as of late coming out of Japan. So there's a lot to be hopeful for. And there's, everybody's different, but if you can get involved, do get involved. It kind of takes the fear out of it. I know for us, it was an incredibly, maybe fearful time at the very beginning. You have all these emotions going on, what's going to happen tomorrow and what's going to happen in a year. But the more you learn about this disease, you see that it is doable, and you can take measures to ensure that, you stay as healthy as possible. And there are a lot of people working really hard with research and testing drugs to help, to come up with treatment. So there is a lot to be hopeful for in the future, I think.